I'm wearing secondhand hats, secondhand clothes. That's why they call me Secondhand Rose. Even our piano in the parlor, Father bought for 10 cents on the dollar. Secondhand pearls. I'm wearing secondhand curls. I never get a single thing that's new. Ne- I never get a single thing that's new. Even Jake the plumber, he's the man I adore, had the nerve to tell me he's been married before. Everyone knows that I'm just secondhand Rose from Second Avenue. Whoa, poor Rose. I mean, poor in both sense of the word, but secondhand Rose. Okay, here comes verse 2. Things don't really get better for her, but it's pretty funny. 1921, Secondhand Rose. I'm wearing secondhand shoes, secondhand hose. Hose, that's like pantyhose, not like hose. All the girls hand me their secondhand bows. Even my pajamas when I don 'em have somebody else's initials on 'em. Secondhand rings. I'm sick of secondhand things. I never get what other girlies do. Once while strolling through the Ritz, a girl got my goat. She nudged her friend and said, "Oh, look, there's my old fur coat." That's funny. Everyone knows that I'm just second, that I'm Everyone knows that I'm just secondhand Rose from Second Avenue. Secondhand Rose. Secondhand Rose. It's not exactly a song for me, but I thought the lyrics were very funny. 1921. Fanny Bryce. Fanny Bryce. It was written for her. American comedian Fanny Bryce. October 29th, 1891 until May 29th, 1951. Wow, so she only lived 60 years. Not even. Well, who was Fanny Bryce? American comedian, illustrated song model, film appearances, radio stage film. She created a comedy series called The Baby Snooks Show, a radio comedy. Her life was loosely adapted into the stage musical Funny Girl, portrayed by Streisand in the original Broadway production and in the '68 film adaptation. Hey, Mary in Chicago says, "Bravo! I grew up with my brothers. All my clothes were secondhand." Yeah, I had some of that. I had some hand-me-downs. Fanny Bryce, she was born as Fania Borach in Manhattan, the third child of Rose, whose last name was Stern, a Jewish Hungarian woman who immigrated to the U.S. at 10, and an Alsatian immigrant, Charles Borach. The Borachs were saloon owners and had 4 children. They owned a saloon. Wow. Fanny Bryce dropped out of school in 1908, so she was just 17 or 16. She dropped out of school, and worked in a burlesque revue. The review was called The Girls from Happy Land, starring Sliding Billy Watson. Then she began her association with Florence Ziegfeld. Secondhand Rose. She was hired again in 1921 and performed in the Follies until the 30s. Anyway, Fanny Brice, that is the person who made this song famous. I guess it was written for her, but I wanted to look up who wrote this song. Secondhand Rose. The music is by James F. Hanley. Yada-da-da. Who lived from 1892 to 1942. An American songwriter and author. He attended Champion College and the Chicago Musical College. All right, Chicago. He became he served with the U.S. Army 82nd Division in World War I, and during his military service, he wrote an Army musical show called Toot Sweet. On his discharge, he became a vaudeville accompanist. He worked with Buddy DeSilva, among others. Secondhand Rose is one of his biggest hits. Also, Back Home in Indiana and Zing Went the Strings of My Heart. I think I know that one. Zing. Zing Went the Strings of My Heart. Bang, bang, bang went the trolley. Ding, dong, ding went the bell. That's probably something else. And he died of a heart attack in Douglaston, Queens, leaving a widow and 5 children. Oy. He was a young guy. He was just 50. Not quite 50. He was just a week shy of his 50th birthday. That's the guy who wrote the music. And the lyrics are by Grant Clark. I must say, Grant Clark is the star of this song because it's the lyrics that make it very funny. Secondhand Rose. 1891 to 1931. Jesus, none of these people lived very long. This guy didn't even, he died at 40. He was born in Akron, Ohio, which is where LeBron James is from. He was an American songwriter. He moved to New York City. He worked as an actor and a staff writer for comedians. He began working on Tin Pan Alley, where he contributed music to such films as The Jazz Singer, Weary River, On with the Show, and Everybody Happy. He had a string of hits the last few years of the 20s. He wrote the lyrics to the show Dixie to Broadway and also contributed to the 21 Ziegfeld Follies, and Bumbo. He later became a charter member of ASCAP. That's that union of songwriters. But I misread it. I thought it said he became a charter member of the ASPCA. But this has nothing to do with dogs. Secondhand Rose. Am I Blue? Oh my gosh. Am I Blue? That's a really good song. Okay, that's his lyrics. Okay. Am I blue? Am I blue? Oh, you know that Zing song? Okay. Blue, loving you won't be too. I know that song from a commercial. I think it was Selsun Blue. Was that Selsun Blue that used that? Am I Blue? Am I Blue song commercial. Am I blue? Am I blue? I don't know what it was for. I think it must have been for Selsun Blue. It's a 1921 song, and it ended up in a lot of commercials. Lack of oxygen makes you blue. That's true. Hypoxia. Blue Man Group. Did any of you guys ever see that show? It's an amazing off-Broadway show. It's been running for 35 years, I think. Now it's also in Vegas and other places. Am I Blue? Okay. I'm wearing secondhand hats, secondhand clothes. That's why they call me Secondhand Rose. Even our piano in the parlor, Father bought for 10 cents on the dollar. secondhand pearls. I'm wearing secondhand curls. I never get a single thing that's new. Even Jake the plumber, he's the man I adore, had the nerve to tell me he's been married before. Everyone knows that I'm just secondhand Rose from Second Avenue. The lyrics are great. I'm loving the lyrics. In fact, there's a lot of music from the 20s, 40s on 78s. Yeah, I have a bunch of those 78s at home, but no way to play them. All right, I drove to Massachusetts finally today after 2 long weeks in the big bad city. Hey, Leslie. Yes, we talked about that. Bonsoir. Yes, Fanny Bryce. It was written for her, or she made it famous. And we just talked about the songwriter and the lyricist Grant Clark. Terrific lyrics, Grant Clark, and James Hanley, who wrote the music. Both of whom passed away as young guys, but they shared credit on that big hit. 1921 it was written, released in 1922. Zing went the strings of my heart. I kind of want to hear that one. Zing went the strings of my heart. The Tramps. This is a group singing it. It looks like the 60s. Oh, it was a 1935 popular song. All right. Zing with the string. Oh, there's Judy Garland doing it. The Coasters doing it. Rufus Wainwright. Kristen Chenoweth. Wow. Okay, let's hear the Coasters doing this number. Now I feel like a DJ. I'm spinning records. All right, this is coming at you. Zing! Zing! You know, I was in the car today and I was listening to, somehow I ended up on a station that was not the ACLU, but the ACLJ, and it's some anti-abortion Christian advocacy group, and they have a radio show. So, why did I think of that? ASCAP. Zing with the strings of my heart. No, I don't remember why that occurred to me. Okay, let's hear this number. Oh, this is why it was. They had a guy doing the announcements on this station who was clearly just doing a Casey Kasem impersonation. It was just a complete Casey Kasem. He was talking like him, same cadence, same way he would stress words. It was bizarre. You'd think that would be some sort of a copyright violation if you're doing radio announcements and ripping off the voice of probably the most famous radio announcer ever. Really weird. Yeah, this was not the DJ on that station. This was just the guy who doing the announcements. Anyway, yeah, was it fun? It was very fun. I called in. They were going to put me on, but then they didn't. I called in just to say that, you know, I played a back alley abortionist in a horror series called The Expecting, which was produced for Quibi, but then it appears on Roku. You can watch it on Roku. It's a cool show. It's called The Expecting. We shot it in November of 2019. And I just was calling in to point out, weirdly, the screener seemed open to hearing my point of view, which was, okay, it's all well and good. It's not well and good. But if you guys want to talk about, you know, banning abortions, you have to know that, in fact, when you do that and you outlaw them, the number of abortions doesn't go down. It's just the safety of the abortions goes down. People still get the procedures, for the most part, that they need, if they can afford, if they can travel, if they can find a way to do it. But what ends up happening is you end up having to go to someone who's not licensed or is maybe not as experienced, not as skillful, and that doesn't have the facilities, the equipment, a back alley abortionist. So I was calling to say that they should probably consider that. And my pretext for calling was that I played one of these characters in a show. La da da da, ya da da da, da 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 da. Yes, I watched David's show. It ate up a good 2 hours or whatever of my drive this morning. It was great to see him back. It was actually really a great show. That was cool. Oh yeah, and the Leonard, the nephew Leonard animation is great. I honestly would love. I was hoping it was a live action, like he hired an actor to play Leonard, and I wanted to play Leonard. So I want to put that out there, Leslie. Put that out there to you and to David. If he ever needs anyone to play Leonard and doesn't want to do animation, please think of me. All right, here we go. Zing went the strings of my heart because it's the same lyricist. Wa da 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 da. Da, da, da. Oh no, it's the same songwriter, James Hanley. I don't remember. Is it also the same lyricist? All right, this is a 1959 recording. Coming at you, the 1959 recording of Zing Went the Strings of My Heart by the Coasters. Oh, I know the song. I heard a melody. It haunted me from the start. What a voice, wow. Something inside of me started a symphony. Sing with the of my heart. Whoa, like a breath of spring. All right, we get the idea. That's nice. First the bass sings it, then we get the tenor singing it. Zing Went the Strings of My Heart, recorded by the Coasters. That's awesome. It also sounds like it was recorded in a pretty basic studio, like they were all standing around one mic. I like that sound. Like pretty. I don't know if tinny is the right word, but it had a kind of. I don't know the technical stuff about microphones, but something about the compression. Oh, distortion. There you go. Yeah, there's some distortion in there. And then also it sounded either too compressed or not compressed enough. I don't know. Here's a song. You gotta give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You gotta laugh a little, cry a little, before the clouds roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there's the two of us, we got the world and all its charms. And when the world is through with us, we got each other's arms. You gotta win a little, lose a little, and always have the blues a little. That's the glory of, that's the story of, that's the glory of, that's the story of, that's the glory of, that's the story of love. You gotta win a little, lose a little, and always have the blues a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. Love, love. Yeah, a little bit of whistling. I don't have any soloing skills on the, so you got to whistle. Or kazoo. You could kazoo. You could scat. So there are some options. Oh, singing along. Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. That's words and music by Billy Hill. Billy Hill also did not live a long life. Billy Hill from 1899 to 1940. The song is from 1936. Billy Hill. It's funny. You could take issue with the lyrics because the lyrics are you got to win a little, lose a little, always have the blues a little. That's losing and having the blues is the glory. I don't know if that's the glory. Maybe that's the story of. I think it is the story. That's right. Um, it is the story of love. I don't think it's the glory of love. I think it's Neuro. Are you telling me you want me to be drunk? I need to drink a little, or you want me to wet my whistle a little more? Oh, I think I get it. Like it's like one of those songs about the blues. I think it's like a drinking, singing along. I don't know. That's the story of. That's the glory of love. As long as there's the two of us, we got the world and all its charms. That's a nice lyric. And when the world is through with us, we got each other's arms. That's a beautiful, simple rhyme. It goes a million miles. That's great. Billy Hill. Was Billy Hill a Boston guy? I know we looked him up once before. Billy Hill, songwriter. American songwriter and violinist, Billy Hill. Yeah, that's the guy, Boston. Yeah, he lived to 41. And he made, right, he's the guy who went out west and wrote those Western songs. Wagon Wheels, Empty Saddles. They cut down the old pine tree, the last roundup. He found fame writing Western songs. He was from Boston. Interesting. Billy Hill was one of the first professional New York songwriters to tailor material for the country music market. He was a violinist, classically trained. All right, he's the one who went to the Boston Conservatory. We definitely read about this before. You gotta live a little, die a little. No, that's not one of the lyrics. La da dee da 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 da. Oh, he died of heart failure Christmas Eve 1940 at the age of 41 in a Boston hotel room. He sometimes wrote under the pseudonym George Brown. Interesting. Billy Hill. Have a little look. I feel like someone needs a, hey, Dawn, nice to see you. Billy Hill became a hillbilly. That's funny. That's very good. He wrote Western songs. And George Brown was his alias. Yeah, that is a rough Christmas, dying in a hotel room of a heart attack. Talk about a blue Christmas. Yikes. Blue from hypoxia. That's terrible. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. La 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 la. My tuner says we're in D flat, therefore you just dropped a low D flat. Like JX. Yeah, I have a. It depends on the day, but sometimes, sometimes I have very low voice, especially when I wake up in the morning. What did I want to tell you? I got an email just now about doing some more voiceover for one of the Malcolm Gladwell books, which I'm very excited about. I've done a bunch of voiceover projects for Pushkin Media and Malcolm Gladwell, and it seems like it's he's well known for a lot of his books, but The Tipping Point was one of his most popular. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me just look this up. I don't want to give anything away. As long as there's the two of us, we got the da dee da da. Yep, there it is. Revenge of the Tipping Point. So The Tipping Point came out a quarter of a century ago, and it looks like he has a sequel coming out in just 2 months. It's in. I'm reading that in People magazine, so this is not any secret. But I'm going to get to do some voices in the audiobook of the Revenge of the Tipping Point. So I'm psyched about that. That's cool. You gotta live a little, la la dee da, da da dee da 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 dee da, ya da 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 da. That's the glory. Oh, what was I thinking? As long as there's the two of us, we got the world and all its charms. And when the world is through with us, we got each other's arms. Those lyrics reminded me of this, which has become the unofficial outro lately of this show. This is the No Show. Thank you for tuning in to the No Show. Speaking of your tuner and tuning, this is the No Show, happening every night at 9 p.m. right here on YouTube. Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny, but we travel along, singing a song, side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing our load, side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they've all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just a traveling along, singing a song, side by side, side by side, side by side by side by side by side by side. Side by side. Harry Woods. 1927. Harry Woods. Side by side. We got each other's arms. It's the same sentiment. Same general period of time. Things are going to crash down around you. The world's going to crumble. But you have someone to share it with. That's the message of those songs. It's important. What else can I tell you? Always hydrate. Yes, Nuro says always hydrate. Let me back up. What did I miss? Oh, hey, James. Nice to see you. Thanks for singing along. La da dee da 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 ya da 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 da. Oh, so yeah, Billy Hill, Boston, Harry Woods, Cape Cod. So that was a little Massachusetts set of old songs. Zing went the strings of my heart. Zing. That's a nice lyric. Casey Kasem. Casey Kasem, America's Top 40. I can't do it, but I haven't heard him in a while, but This is Casey Kasem with a countdown. There's the overly sing-songy thing he does, and this one is going out to Amanda in Indiana. That's not exactly right, but he did have that crazy, like, pitch variation. He would go all over the place in those reads. All right. So that is the no-show. The no-show happens every night. Yeah, that was a rough Christmas in that hotel room. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Ethan. There's my name, Ethan Hirschenfeld. I am here every night at 9. I appreciate you tuning in. Please share this with somebody or anybody or some people. Copy the link and email it or text it to them and say, hey, I mean, if you like, if you want to do that, if you feel there's someone who would vibe with what's happening here, you could do it. Neuro says Rachel Maddow used to cover about 3 octaves when she was on the radio. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the other person who does it, yeah, is that Martin Short character, Jiminy Glick. Jiminy Glick, he goes way up. He goes way down. There's a clip of Jiminy Glick. It's Martin Short running into Larry David on the street in LA in an old episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where Larry asks Martin Short to teach him the Jiminy Glick voice. So he's giving him a little voice coaching on how to do it. And then he gets so involved that the jewelry store closes and everything falls apart. Near Yukon. Okay, from New Haven. All right, JX. Okay, everybody, I'm wishing you all a good night. I appreciate. Oh, and check out, you can see in the thumbnail, that was me with my mom's bird. Thanks, Mom, for that very fun visit with you and your birdie this morning. That's Kira, or Kiro, or Kiero, a beautiful birdie who sat on my head and did a bunch of grooming of my hair, and also plucked a couple of whiskers. That was kind of painful, but it was cute. Plucked a couple of nose hairs and whiskers. So maybe she's available for spa treatments. All right, everybody, have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.